So Necrochasm is back for year 3 inside of Age of Triumph. To get the weapon you'll need to complete a quest which is relatively simple. I do have a guide on how to get the weapon which I'll link in the description. So Necrochasm is an exotic auto rifle which comes with arc damage and fits into the 100 rate of fire archetype of auto rifles. Let's check out the perks. This weapon comes with an intrinsic perk of Cascade where melee kills automatically refill a portion of the magazine. It's not a bonus that will serve you in every engagement, but it will certainly help when it does proc on melee kills, allowing you to get back into the fight or continue engaging without having to reload the magazine. For barrel options, we have Accurized Ballistics for more range and impact but increased recoil, CQB Ballistics for greatly reduced recoil but a significant penalty to range, or Aggressive Ballistics for more predictable recoil, enhanced impact with a penalty to range and more recoil. For PvE purposes, Aggressive Ballistics makes a lot of sense to give you more impact since damage in this archetype is somewhat lackluster for PvE. The extra recoil that you'll suffer as a result won't be too bad for PvE content on the whole. For PvP though, I would recommend using CQB Ballistics because despite the penalty to range, the recoil will be much easier to control. I would personally avoid Accurized Ballistics in general because the recoil is very severe with this option, yet its increase to impact offers little benefit when compared to Aggressive Ballistics. Let's check out the other perks though. In the first column we have Zen Moment, causing damage with the weapon increases its stability. This is a pretty top tier perk for auto rifles because they fire continuously while doing damage, meaning that over time your stability will improve, which will certainly help you win some gunfights. In the middle column we have Single Point Sling, switch weapons faster and move quicker while aiming, Flared Magwell to increase reload speed, or Fitted Stock for increased stability. Because stability is such an issue on this weapon, Fitted Stock makes the most sense to use in this column. Single Point Sling could be a decent option for PvP if you like to strafe while firing, and Flared Magwell is okay if you want faster reloads in PvE, but on the whole I feel like Fitted Stock will offer the most all-around benefit for the weapon. Finally though, we have the signature bonus, Cursebringer. Kills with this weapon trigger a Cursed Thrall explosion. This perk actually received a buff in update 2.6 and no longer requires precision kills in order to trigger the Thrall explosion, and this is a fantastic improvement for this exotic since it's not exactly a precision weapon. Now let's talk about PvE performance. In general, the weapon does pretty well against low tier enemies, especially whenever they're grouped up since the Cursed Thrall explosion can either kill or do considerable damage to nearby adds of the same tier. The Thrall explosion in general is a big part of what makes this weapon desirable in PvE content, especially when Arc Burn is active. You'll be able to mow down adds pretty comfortably, and occasionally Cascade will come in handy if you're also making melee kills. Range drop-off is pretty severe on auto rifles in general though, and this is naturally the case for Necrochasm as well. So you're going to want to be somewhat close to whatever you're shooting, which is a slight drawback for the weapon in general, but does add a little bit more value to the Cascade perk since you'll often be close to melee range. The magazine size of 54 rounds is certainly beneficial here since you're going to use a fair amount of ammo making kills, especially on higher tier enemies. When it comes to much higher health enemies though, the lackluster damage of this archetype will become more apparent, and a lot of the time you'll find yourself switching to other weapons or abilities to make those kills. Having said this though, Necrochasm is still an effective weapon where larger groups of adds are concerned, and it also has the benefit of arc damage, which makes it considerably more appealing depending on the modifiers of the content you're playing. Overall, Necrochasm is a fun PvE weapon, and fun is definitely an important factor for this weapon. While it does have some unique talents and is generally capable as a primary, it is by no means the strongest option out there. Auto rifles in general are kind of outclassed by the other types of weapons across the board, but at the same time Necrochasm has to compete with the best PvE auto rifle in the game, Xalo Supercell. Xalo's arc damage, higher impact class and chain lightning are pretty stiff competition for Necrochasm if we want to be super critical. However, like I said, fun factor is going to be a big element if you want to use this weapon in PvE. In the Crucible, this weapon can do pretty well. Necrochasm is in the same family as the Doctrine of Passing, and that archetype is still pretty effective overall in the Crucible. If you use CQB Ballistics and Fitted Stock, then the recoil is fairly easy to control and you'll hit more headshots with the weapon. Some players are enjoying using Aggressive Ballistics in PvP since you can reduce the time to kill by a small amount, but I feel like the further increase in recoil and then the reduction of stability and range also serve to limit the distance of engagements where you'll be effective. effective. The Cursed Thrall explosion in PvP is a lot of fun to play around with, and some of the kills can be pretty amusing visually. On top of this, in objective modes like Control, you can do some damage to nearby players if they're grouped up, which is always useful, and can also help if you want to play fairly aggressively. Again, the fun factor in PvP is a big thing here, and it's also refreshing to use something a little bit different. The main issue for the weapon in PvP is firstly its range, but also the simple fact that it's an auto rifle. While they are usable in PvP, they are just not that competitive against the other weapon archetypes, and combined with Necrochasm's range and stability issues, you're going to lose out to a lot of other weapons in the Crucible. Another issue is that inside of Necrochasm's optimal range, weapons like hand cannons in particular, but also sidearms are still very strong, so to a degree you'll need to rely on the flinch that these higher rate of fire auto rifles cause to make gunfights more difficult for your opponent. When you're causing the other player to miss shots, you're going to win more gunfights, and if you have a steady aim and can hit your headshots with Necrochasm, you can really take advantage of the weapon's strengths. Overall, Necrochasm is a really cool, fun weapon with some useful and unique talents, but at the same time it has a lot of competition across the board. Nonetheless though, it's definitely a weapon I'm going to use more now that it's returned. I love the theme of the weapon, the strong hive design sensibility, even the noise that it makes is pretty awesome. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave your thoughts on the Necrochasm below. As always, a like is appreciated if you did enjoy the video, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny content. But for now, have an awesome day.